and go.
Welcome, everybody, to another edition of Clipboard Confessional with Bobby and Anthony. I'm going to be your host, Anthony and Indiana. Joining me, as he always does, the better looking pair of the duo, my partner and colleague, Mr. Bobby Waugh. Bobby, you want to know something, though, Bob? Before I ask you how you're doing, as we do these Zooms, and I think for me, this is good. For you, this is bad. Um, we're starting to look alike.
Oh, gosh.
Every episode, it's the hat on backwards. It's, I think, the same glasses. Mine are for reading. It's the beard, although mine's a little grayer. I'm not saying we look exactly alike, but what I am confident in saying is that when you sit in this Zoom and we do this show and you look into that camera and you see me, you, sir, probably see your future.
That's interesting because I was going to comment on what a transformation that you have made in the off season. Because I mean, these first couple shows you've been so complimentary, and I was going to, throw something back at you, but forget it now, man. You done stepped in it.
I'm just saying, I don't think it's a bad thing for you that if you on the wrong side of 50, of which I am, right? What do I got you by? About 18 years?
Maybe.
You what, about 35?
I'm 41.
Bro, oh, you age. You look fantastic.
All right, back on the good side. I like it.
All right, so I got you by 12 years, though. I'm 53. Listen, I tell people all the time, if this is what 53 looks like, I'll take 53.
Yeah, yeah. You look pretty good for your age, man. I'll give you that.
Oh,
And I know you
41.
go to the gym all the time, which is honestly, man, I just got back from the gym. Summer's been crazy, a lot of trips, and I haven't been in the gym in probably, my gosh, 2.5 weeks. And before vacation apocalypse hit me, I was crushing it, man. I felt great. I looked great. I was owning the gym. And today was my first day back, buddy, and I got
You felt
dude. I used to, I mean, in our youth, it was easy. You could take months off and hop right back into it, but that is not the case once you hit 40, man. I was struggling today, buddy.
hit 50 and see what happens when you take
Dude, I bet. I bet.
it. You don't even have to eat it. Just go to a barbecue and smell it. And all of a sudden you're like, why is my clothes tighter? I haven't even eaten anything yet. But that's what happens. So you got to get up, you got to keep moving. And I have a goal at 53. Don't be on any prescriptions. And I'm
Hey,
not.
love it. Love it. Good for you, dude. You
But 41, I would have never guessed 41.
thank
You,
you.
I, you're a cutie. There it is. I'm putting it out into the stratosphere at
I'm
41,
married, sir. I'm married. Calm
and
down.
you are a cutie. And
Oh,
yeah, but yeah, the backwards hat, the glasses, the beard. In 12 years, it'll probably be gray like mine. This is it. Congratulations. A little
uh,
arthritis, a little chunkier, but this is what you got coming to you. So buckle up because it is a bumpy ride. It's a lot of surgeries. It's a lot of aches and pains. But when you come out the other side, hello, ladies. This is what you look like.
okay. All right, I'm actually going to change gears here for everyone that's listening to this thing, especially those that are watching. I have a confession to make. I think we all need to make sure we learn, make sure we know who we are, and that goes for fantasy football as well. And we talked running backs last week, especially ones towards the top of the rankings. And so after our show, I got in and I got to looking, and I had to be honest with myself. I had CMC at number 3. And
Yeah,
like I said, I had him on my team last year, and the ride is amazing. And
yeah.
it's always great to know that he's in your lineup when he's healthy. But I also had to look and say, I mean, I looked at my, previous years, even going into last season, I look at Saquon Barkley. And it's like, he's going to have a good season, blah, blah. And then you look at this year's write up, and one of the notes I put in there is his regression was easy to see coming given all the touches he got. And let's be honest, CMC, what he led the NFL in touches last year, right? I think you dropped that on us last show. And so I did have to move him down a couple spots. So he is no longer running back three. I knocked him down two. He's running back five. I'm not going to put James Cook above him. I'm not going to put Saquon above him just because that ceiling is the RB1. But I did have some movements in my rankings. I wanted to, put that out there because it's always important to make sure you stay true to who you are. And I'm a numbers guy. I really like to dive into those stats. And they don't lie. When you have that many touches, you have over 400 touches, you have a drop off in production the next year, almost every single time that happens. So just put that out there in case anyone's keeping track. I did drop him a couple spots.
There you go. There you go. Well, what we're gonna do today. We started the running back position last week. Uh, we're gonna continue it because we really only got into like that RB1 realm, and there's still plenty of other running backs we wanted to talk about. And the first running back situation I wanted to talk with you today is the Rams. Uh, Kyron Williams, let's just be very honest about it, has been one of the more productive running backs in the NFL over the last couple of years. He's been a plug, play, and walk away type of running back since he took over in 2023 at the age of 23 for the Rams. He's 1,200 yards rushing 2 seasons in a row. He's double-digit rushing touchdowns 3 seasons in a row. He's 30-plus receptions 3 seasons in a row. I mean, just a touchdown production. Back in 2023, it was 12-3, so 15. 2024 was 14-2, so 16. Last year, 10-3. The smaller number being receiving touchdowns, 13. The PPR value is there with the 30 or so. He's targeted about 50 times a season. The numbers have always been there. But then last year, more in the second half, you saw Blake Corum getting involved. Didn't take over the job, but he got involved. And if you had Kyron Williams, it seemed like every week if you needed a Kyron Williams touchdown and you're watching Red Zone, the Rams would score a touchdown and it looked like Blake Corum ran it in. It was just enough to annoy you. Blake Corum ended the season with 6 touchdowns on the season, 746 yards, only 8 receptions. So Kyron Williams and only 14 targets. Kyron is still the pass catching back in that offense. Let's acknowledge that. But it was 5.1 yards per carry. It was 746 yards. Does Blake Corum scare you away this year from Kyron Williams? Or we know Kyron is the RB1. He's still the favorite of the coaching staff. He's still the favorite of Matthew Stafford. And Corum's going to spell him, but it's still enough of a split in favor of Kyron that you're confident with him.
Blake Corum does scare me a little bit. And, to piggyback on some of the things you said about Kyron Williams, I mean, he was RB6, RB7, RB9 over the last 3 seasons. And I feel like he is one of, if not the most underappreciated RB1s in like fantasy football history. It's like nobody.
He's never drafted as an RB1.
Never. And he always produces. I mean, even like little things, you always want a floor with some of your players. We talk about that, especially with like quarterbacks running the ball. If a quarterback averages 30, 40 yards a game, that's a nice little 3.4.4 you got. He only had 3 games all season where he rushed under 60 yards. So he's getting you no matter what, 6 points, bang, 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 every single week, which is great. I mean, you look at some of these other guys, these RB1s, there were games when they didn't touch 60 yards. So you like that consistency. But with Blake Corum, when he was coming out, 2023? Is that when he was coming out from Notre Dame? Maybe 24.
Yeah, it was 2024.
Perfect, 2024. When I was watching film before the draft, one of the main things I said about him watching his film was this guy is Kyron Williams. And then sure enough, he goes out and gets drafted to the Rams to back up Kyron Williams. Their skill sets are so similar. And you mentioned Corum as the season went on, his usage increased. And, from weeks 1 through 6, he only averaged less than 5 carries a game. Whereas from week 7 on, he was averaging almost 11 carries a game.
It's enough to be.
I know it is enough to be annoying. And that is why I don't have Kyron as an RB1 in my rankings, which history tells us we probably should. I have him at RB14 right now. I think that's probably close to where ADP has him. Corum is my RB.
Week in, week out play.
Say that again.
you're still comfortable with Kyron as an RB2 week in, week out play.
Yes, I do not want him to be my RB1, as would have been fine previous years. RB2. Now, look, there's a possibility where they're like, look, Kyron's a guy. Corum's he's fine backup, and we knew we were going to make a run, hopefully to the Super Bowl. So we wanted to keep Kyron fresh for the playoffs. So that's why we used him in the back half of the year. But there's also that chance where they're like, look, Corum is improving every single season he's in the NFL, and he is going to take some of Kyron's work away. So right now I have, like I said, Kyron 14, Corum at RB 40. I probably need to find a way to move Corum up a little bit. But yeah, I don't want Kyron to be my RB1.
Is Corum strictly in your mind a Kyron William handcuff draft pick? Or are you willing to draft Corum independently as a streamable flex option?
The problem with Corum is that his cost is too much to be like a handcuff for Kyron Williams. So if you draft Kyron Williams, um, the price to get his handcuff, and that's like something I look for if I draft a handcuff. And I do want to touch on this later in the show. Your handcuff strategy. It's too much. You draft a handcuff, you want it to be late. You don't want to waste two, almost starting positions for the same running backfield. So Corn's too expensive for that. He may end up being a solid flex option for you. If he's getting 11 carries a game, maybe two or three catches a game, that might be enough to keep your team afloat, plugging that guy into your flex. So I'm not going to target Corum as a handcuff. But if I'm not the Kyron Williams owner and I'm sitting there, Corum right now, ADP at 91 overall, I might scoop him up as a RB four-ish flex spot starter for me.
If something were to happen to Kyron, he becomes an RB2
Oh,
immediately.
the weekly probably top 15 running back weekly.
Yeah, you plug and play him in that spot right away. Let's talk about Javonte Williams for a minute here, Dallas. Um, I was not, I didn't expect anything from him last year, to be honest, going to Dallas. I really didn't. I thought just years of injury, knee issues always scares me away. Leaves Denver, goes to Dallas, and I think it's safe to say exceeded all expectations. Probably even exceeded Dallas's expectations of what they had in Javonte Williams. Remember, this is a guy in 2021 played a full season as a rookie, 17 games. 2022, 4 games, 16 games, 17 games. He is actually been relatively healthy after that blown out knee in 2022. The problem was he just wasn't particularly effective. 2023, 774 yards, 3.6 yards per carry. 2024 is last year in Denver, 513 yards, 3.7 yards per carry. Goes to Dallas, and let's just acknowledge it, explodes. Completely explodes. 1,200 yards, 4.8 yards per carry. That's a number that plays. No denying that. 11 touchdowns. Even chips in with 35 receptions on 51 targets. Is it repeatable for Javonte Williams? Turning 26 years old this year. Is Jay like this time last year? Everybody was doing God knows what to themselves over Jaden Blue, right? Javonte Williams is back in the mix now. Javonte Williams, I've seen him go in a 14-team league this past weekend. I was broadcasting it for Sirius XM. Javonte Williams went at the tail end of the second round. He was a top 28 pick. Like that, and like, do we have that much faith in the Cowboys running back?
So when you look at, you know, obviously history plays a role in everything that we're doing here. And you look at new situations, and this year is wild because like half the teams in the league have new offensive coordinators. I think it's like 20 teams in the league have new offensive coordinators, a bunch of new head coaches. I've never seen turnover like that in my life. So a lot of this a ton of it, of what we're doing this year, especially, is projections. So you look at a guy like Javonte Williams and you think, all right, well, what's changed for him? Let's see. Is a head coach changed? No. Offensive coordinator changed? No. QB changed? No. Did they bring in any running backs? No. I think they have the same starting offensive line that they did last year. They did absolutely nothing to change his situation. So, and last year's career year, best year he's had, RB11, half point PPR. I just don't see any reason for anything to change as far as his role goes in this offense or his production. It's
You're
boring.
absolutely just pulled up the Cowboys depth chart.
Mhm.
There's one single change.
Oh, yeah. Who was it?
No, there's not. There's not even
Oh,
one.
no, not one. Got it.
There's
Would you?
not one. The
That's what I'm
the
saying.
the most significant offensive change is the addition of Marquez Valdez-Scantling.
Oh, so
Right.
nothing.
Nothing. Couple of draft picks. They made two draft picks were on the offensive side, a seventh round pick, wide receiver Anthony Smith, a fourth round right tackle, Drew Shelton, who was slated for backup roles. Ryan Flournoy is going to be the slot receiver. Jake Ferguson is still the tight end. The backups are still Jaden Blue and Phil Maffa. I mean, they added Sam Howell to compete for the backup quarterback job with Joe Milton III. I mean, no changes. So I get your point, right? Like, if there's no changes, you should expect at least the same usage, similar numbers for Javonte Williams. So that being said, you good with him in the second round?
I'm not taking him in the second round. I have him as RB16, but I could see that moving up a spot or two. I'm not going to have him above Kyron, I don't think.
Brees Hall or Javonte Williams?
Dude, that's where I was getting. I have Brees Hall at RB13, just outside of the RB1s for me. I'm a little higher on him this year, and I'm sure we'll get into that. But I'm taking Hall over Javante, but it's close. They're right there.
Why are you high on Brees Hall? Let's get right
Uh,
into
so Great. So I actually think he has an opportunity. Like if I had to pick one of these, mid-tier RB2 kind of guys, RB3 kind of guys to maybe finish in the top five in the running back position, he would be my surprise pick, my bold prediction. He's done it before, RB4, RB17, RB18 over the last 3 years. But even in that lost season he had, when he was it towards ACL, he was
Mm-hmm.
RB7 in points per game. Signed a big money deal in the offseason, so the Jets wants him. I do not care that Aaron Glenn came out and said, well, this is going to be a three-headed monster in the backfield. Aaron Glenn is coaching. What's that?
You don't pay Brees Hall.
Right. And Aaron Glenn is coaching for his life.
Yeah.
If you're coaching for your life, you're not giving the ball to Isaiah Davis or Braylon Allen. You're giving it to Brees Hall. This was actually kind of shocking. This last season was his first season of his career with 1,000 rushing yards, which I didn't know. But the big thing for me, what really pushes it over the edge, we know how important receiving work is for running backs, especially ones that you want to explode to be a top five running back. Brees Hall definitely has that skill set. And with Geno Smith as a quarterback last year, Ashton Genty had 73 targets. 2 years ago in Seattle, when Geno was in Seattle, Kenneth Walker and Zach Charbonnet combined for over 100 targets. He is going to target his running back. He's only going to have one running back to throw to. And I anticipate a big, big year for Mr. Brees Hall.
Yeah, it's funny. You would have thought last year as the Jets traded away some defensive players, kind of did a fire sale, acquired draft picks. I think everybody kind of thought, well, maybe they moved Brees, or there was a good chance that they would move Brees. Because if you watch the Jets, and I mean, I don't know, maybe you just like, to be bored. But nonetheless, there was the one thing they did show was a little bit of depth at the running back position, right? Braylon Allen showed flashes, the 2024 fourth round pick. Isaiah Davis, the 2024 fifth round pick. Both of them showed flashes where you said, okay, they could survive without Brees Hall, right? Like there's some talent there that they could make shift that running back position. And then they go ahead and they sign Brees Hall to the big extent. And you're right. For a coach like Aaron Glenn, who is coaching for his life, because last year was a complete debacle and he looked completely overmatched as a head coach. And he's walking a fine line, right? Because he has to win, but the Jets need a top three draft pick to draft a quarterback. I mean,
What a
it's
conundrum.
Western, dead man walking. That's what Aaron Glenn is. You know, you want to get the ball to Garrett Wilson. You draft Omar Cooper. You draft Kenyon Sadiq. You have Adonai Mitchell. You know, there are pieces. Brees Hall, there's pieces there. But in a draft that features Arch Manning, Dante Moore, and other quarterbacks, the projection is three quarterbacks going 1, 2, 3. You got to lose enough to finish in the top three. And Miami's doing everything they can to get number one.
So is
So,
Arizona.
yeah. So, like, don't win too many. Look, be competitive, Glenn, so that you get a third year. But don't win too many because otherwise you got Geno Smith again next year, and then you'll definitely be gone. So it's an interesting dilemma the Jets have put themselves in.
Yeah, I don't envy Aaron Glenn's position at all, but look, he put himself there. And I mean, he went out, he had his choice, I'm sure, I'm assuming, of great offensive minded young college coaches. I mean, that's the thing, right? We're hiring younger and younger coaches. I'm getting 30-year-old offensive coordinators in the NFL right now. Who'd he bring in? Oh, that's right. Frank Reich, who I don't hate, but I mean, if I need he's like playing for the floor, this offensive floor, and he needs to be shooting for a ceiling if he wants to keep his job and elevate the Jets. But not what do I know?
Either win 2 games or win 8. Do not win 4.
Oh, dude, you're gone if you win 4 or 5. That's it.
Win 5 games, it was a wasted season. Let's talk about a couple of other running backs here today. What are you making of the Patriots situation? Is Mike Vrabel going to aggravate the bejesus out of us again with Ramondre Stevenson getting more touches than TreVeyon Henderson? TreVeyon Henderson getting on the field, running what looks like a 3.240. How are you ranking them? Like TreVeyon Henderson should not be a low end RB2. He should not be. He's too talented than that. But right now he is in a lot of rankings because Ramondre is also in some rankings in the top 30 of running backs. And when you have two running backs that close, that's a disaster. So are you in I am just avoiding the entire New England Patriot fiasco because we know what should happen, but Mike Vrabel has other plans.
No, I think we're going to be irritated. I don't know if it'll be as irritating as it was last year. And I'm not avoiding these guys. Mondre Stevenson is probably the absolute most boring pick that anyone is going to make in any fantasy league this year. But he's going to be an RB2. It's just that's what's going to happen. He still averaged 4.6 yards a carry last year, which is kind of crazy. He's
Mhm.
got some receiving chops, and TreVeyon didn't blow up until Ramondre got hurt. And we saw it didn't matter. When Ramondre got healthy again, he got thrusted back into the RB1, unquestioned RB1 role. And then the Patriots make it all the way to the Super Bowl. You're Mike Vrabel. You're sitting there thinking, it worked. We were close.
Yeah.
Why change anything? I, if I'm a head coach of real football, because he certainly doesn't care, he could care less. Couldn't care less about our fantasy teams. So why change much? Now, for me, I do have Henderson at RB19. I have Stevenson at 25. But really, it's just because of the ceiling that Henderson brings along with him. Stevenson's got the floor. Henderson has the ceiling. And the first 8 games last year, Henderson was nothing. 5.5 points per game, half point PPR, nothing. Stevenson gets hurt. Henderson steps in, 16 points per game after that. So Henderson is the exciting one that could be a league winner if unleashed, if Stevenson goes down. But Stevenson's going to be there taking too much work. So Henderson right now for me is above Stevenson simply because of what could be. But I got to keep Stevenson close because of what is.
TreVeyon Henderson last year on 180 carries had 911 rushing yards.
Yeah.
5.1 yards per carry,
Yep.
9 rushing touchdowns, and everyone seemed like it was from, the parking lot to the other end
That's
of
what
the
I
park.
say. Yeah.
Like that guy just ran 800 yards, it looked like, right?
Yeah.
Um, he also had 35 catches for 221 receiving yards. Now, Ramondre, we know, was injured for a bit. Ramondre averaged 4.6, right?
Yeah.
130 carries, 603 yards. Add in, Ramondre had 7 rushing touchdowns, 2 seasons in a row of that number, and add in 32 receptions. You had 60 receptions to the running, 60 plus receptions to the top 2 running backs on that team. Like, you'd love for it to be unleashed onto one, but let's be honest, combined over 1,500 yards, combined almost 20 total touchdowns, combined almost 70 receptions. Mike Vrabel has no reason to change what worked. No, you could scream and holler. Guys, I want to remind everybody, this is a game. It is fantasy. The only reason we play fantasy football is because we outgrew Dungeons and Dragons. So the reality is Mike Vrabel, like Bobby said, Vrabel does not care about your fantasy team, unfortunately. He's going to do what he needs to do to win a football game.
I'll give you
Um,
one more thing that's a little scary for I think Travion is that the Patriots had a super easy schedule last year, right? They were terrible the year before, much easier schedule, much more difficult schedule upcoming. They got to play a first place schedule, which means they're not going to be out in front a lot. And they're going to play the running back, maybe the explosive pass catcher, or maybe the guy they trust the most in pass protection, which would be Ramadre.
I
So
all year people didn't want to. Why is Ramondre playing? Because he keeps Drake May safer.
right, and that's part of just knowing football. That the guys in the industry who does fantasy football stuff, like knowing the game, the real game, is very important when it comes because like stuff like that gets overlooked constantly. But you
And
just, I mean,
put Ramondre in only on passing downs because every defense will know, oh,
right,
Ramondre's on the field. Drake May's dropping back
right.
because we know Henderson can't protect him. And Henderson came out this offseason and said it. I needed to be better at pass blocking. He said it. So if Drake May is not safe with Henderson on the field, you're gonna see that platoon still. You're gonna see that split until Vrabel feels Henderson is equal or close enough to equal with Ramondre. One
How do you
more
have
up
real quick? How do you have these guys ranked?
and higher, a low end RB2
Mhm.
with Travion.
Mhm.
Ramondre to me is a RB3. I don't want to start Ramondre. I will start Travion week 1 and hope and pray.
So,
That's what I have to do with Travion. And
but
it's funny. I don't need Travion that first week to give me 120 yards and 2 touchdowns. That week 1 of the NFL season for the New England Patriots, legitimately all I care about is snap count and touches. I don't care who's more productive. What does the snap count for those 2 running backs look like? What are the touches for those 2 running backs look like? Ramondre may outscore him week 1. He may trip over the goal line and get in the end zone. That doesn't matter. Who was it 50-50? Was it 60-40 play count? Was it 60-40 touches? That is what I'm looking at week 1. That's what I'm hoping and praying for with Travion Henderson. And if I draft him and use him week 1. Now, that being said, with Travion Henderson, let's play a quick game. Quick, because I want to talk about another running back situation. Travion Henderson or David Montgomery?
Travion,
Travion or Quinshon Junkins?
Travion, the
Travion
kid
or Scatterbo?
or who?
Scatterbo.
I have Scatterbo one spot ahead of Travion.
So let's be real here. You're betting on the talent, not the playing situation.
Correct, but
Okay,
also
essentially got the game. I'm not worried about Dylan Sampson. I'm not worried about Woody Marks. I'm not as worried about them. David Montgomery is the workhorse. Quinshon is the workhorse. The other 2, they're satellite backs. They'll get some receptions. I get it. but you're betting on the talent over the workload, is over the guaranteed workload, I should say.
For Travion, I'm also betting on a better offense. How many total touchdowns are the Browns going to score? Like how many red zone carries or green zone carries is Quinshon Judkins actually going to get? I mean, halfway through the season, the Patriots might end up with more touchdowns than the Browns get all year. You know what I mean? So that's what hold me back with those two. And like you said, Montgomery, he was only good last year when he was efficient. He's not going to be if that efficiency is probably gone. But you mentioned he's a workhorse, so he should probably get enough work to. He's going to be another boring RB2, just like Ramondre, I think.
10, 850 yards, 900 yards, but he'll give you 10 touchdowns.
Yeah, exactly.
He'll give you 10 touchdowns. Tampa Bay Bucs situation. Bucky Irving, 2 years, this time last year, he was a second round pick. Some drafts you could have even seen him pushed into the first. Injured, definitely kind of a lost season for Bucky Irving. And then Tampa Bay brings in Kenneth Gainwell. Now, I said this actually this morning on SiriusXM. Um, I didn't think Kenneth Gainwell going to Pittsburgh last year meant anything. To me, he was a journeyman backup. Did his time with the Eagles. He was going to be a backup in Pittsburgh. Goes to Pittsburgh, and let's acknowledge it. He was a viable play. And now he's in Tampa. Now, keeping in mind Bucky Irving, 2 seasons ago as a rookie, 5.4 yards per carry, over 1,100 yards, 8 touchdowns. Last season, 3.4 yards per carry. I mean, that's a brutal drop. Only plays in 10 games, 173 yards. And Kenneth Gainwell, I don't think anybody would be, mad at me for saying, has the best season of his career last season with the Pittsburgh Steelers. Five rushing touchdowns. He finishes the year with 3 receiving touchdowns, 73 receptions last year on
80 more
85 targets, 4.7 yards per carry.
almost 80 more fantasy points than he's ever scored.
Yeah. I mean, just the jump in receptions in his final year in Philly, he had 16 catches. 16, 1-6. Last year, 73. Is he a viable threat to be the RB1 in Tampa?
Yes, I think so. Which is so crazy to think. Because like you said, before this past season, it's an absolute definite 100% no. Bucky Irving's the next big thing. Kenneth Gainwell's a nobody, a never gonna be. And that completely flipped this year with the inefficiency Bucky showed. Um, Now he scored well when he played, and he's shown that he's injury prone as well here at the NFL level. But he scored in 10 games he played, 7 of those games he had double-digit fantasy points. However, Kenneth Gainwell, even now, you're drafting him as what? Your RB3, maybe RB4 if he drops a little bit. He had 7 games with at least 14 fantasy points. That is absurd for someone you're getting later on in drafts.
Like
So
Kenneth did to people?
say it
You
again.
know what Kenneth Gainwell did to people? He PPR'd them to death.
EPR'd him to death. That is copyrighted, trademarked by Anthony Aniano himself. But yeah, man, I don't predict it happening, but I certainly think that they are going. So last year, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, Bucky Irving finishes RB33, Rashad White finishes RB34. I don't think they'll be that low, but if you told me Bucky Irving was RB23 and Kenneth Gainwell was RB22, I would believe you.
Do they both have standalone value this year?
Yeah, not as much as you want Bucky Irving to have. Right now, I have him at RB18, but that feels high. I feel like I'm going to have to drop him a couple spots. And Kenneth Gainwell, I think I have him in the late 20s. So we'll see where they end up. But yeah, and this is another situation where you could never, ever handcuff these guys, which would be great because if Irving goes down, good grief, or Gainwell goes down, either one, Sean Tucker's not doing anything.
Yeah.
So they would be the guy. But there's no way the draft cost is too much.
Okay.
Which let me ask you, when it comes to um handcuffing running backs.
Yeah.
How do you feel about that? Because there are some guys in the industry, they
And
handcuff as many as they can. Some guys don't believe in handcuffs. What's your stance?
the handcuff and depends on the format of your league. And I'll say this. If you use plain waivers, reverse order of standing
Mhm.
waivers, I find it very important to handcuff your running back.
Yep, I can buy that.
Oh, you are now the 10th, you're the 10th waiver or the 12th waiver. Your running back, whoever it may be, Christian McCaffrey, goes down. You're not getting his backup. It's not
There's
going through people before it gets to you. So I got to make sure I have him on my team. However, if you use FAB, free agent auction bidding, you have a fighting chance to get that player then. You may have to overpay to ensure that you get that player, but you could. Now, that's under the assumption that somebody else doesn't draft them. But nonetheless, if they hit the waiver wire, so that's number one. If it's FAB, I'm a little less inclined, a little less. I'll still try to do it. And that leads me to number two. It depends on how talented the other running back is. If I have Cam Scatterville, I am not drafting Tyrone Tracy. I don't care. I don't care. If I have Saquon Barkley, though, yeah, get me Tank Bigsby on my team. That I'm intrigued with. If I have Kyron Williams, give me Blake Corum on my team. If I have Bucky Irving, give me Kenneth Gainwell, although it's going to cost you because Kenneth Gainwell is going to go significantly earlier, right? If I have DeAndre Swift, Kyle Monangai, so there are backup running backs. If I have Tootin, give me Chris Rodriguez. If I have Derrick Henry, give me Keaton Mitchell. There are talented running backs that, yes, intrigue me. And then there are some teams, like the Jets. I don't know who it's going to be. Is it Isaiah Davis or Braylon Allen? I don't want to draft both of them. So it all depends on who that player is. And is that player, if my starter goes down, is that player an automatic plug and play? Because if it is, I want him on my team as the backup. If it's Tyrone Tracy, if it's like Ray Davis in Buffalo, yes, give me Ray Davis.
Mm,
Give me
okay.
Ray Davis. But don't give me the guy who is going to be in a 50-50 split with another running back and he's just not talented. A little
Well,
long-winded. I hope that answered your question.
oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, I feel the same. You got to have fits. So like Derrick Henry, my gosh, I'd love to have his handcuff if it wasn't Justice Hill. Like Justice Hill, they're not going to run the same offense. Justice Hill doesn't get the same
Keaton
workload.
Mitchell, where's he now with the Chargers?
Keaton Mitchell's with the Chargers. I think he may end up in that Mike McDaniel offense as the kind of Devon Achane kind of
Yeah,
shadow. He may have some standalone value when it's all said and done. But there, like you mentioned, a couple that if I got Saquon, I need to get Tank Bigsby. Um,
Checo if you drafted Gibbs.
I'm not see again, completely different players. What's that?
Doesn't interest me.
Right. I don't think it does. For Bijan Robinson, I want Brian Robinson Jr. I'm going to do everything I can to get that. CMC St.
I think some people are going to overdraft some of these backups. Like Pacheco is going to go too early for a handcuff.
Yeah, right.
And
Right.
that's not interested in either.
I got one more for you. I think Mike Washington, because he's basically free. You can get that dude the backup for Ashton Genty for the Raiders, rookie running back out of Arkansas, I think, just absolutely destroyed the combine only because he's free. And Ashton Genty figures to be the workhorse. He goes down, then you may have some lightning in a bottle with Mike Washington Jr. Just a little end of your draft nugget to throw in there.
All right, real quick. We're up
Yep.
against it. Real quick. Who ends the season as the number one running back for the Denver Broncos?
Oh, gosh. I
Okay.
don't know. It's not going to be RJ Harvey, I tell you that.
Okay. Because he's
Um,
going to be the first Bronco running back drafted.
you Maybe he's not the first running back I have ranked. I'll tell you that. I
Who do
got
you have?
J.K. Dobbins, buddy, because on a per game basis, he's going to go down. At
Yes.
the end of at the end of the season, if you want to ask me who's going to be the best Denver running back points per game, I'm going to guess J.K. Dobbins because he's always good when
Yeah.
he's on the field. The problem is he can't stay healthy. What's that?
The 9 games he plays a year.
Right. But if I had to bet, you know what? If we, I've seen RJ Harvey, I don't like it. Not efficient. He got so lucky with touchdowns last year. It's absurd. I think I might have mentioned this last week, or the amount of touchdowns he had on as few of yards as he had was outside of Zach Charbonnet. No one else did that. He should have had like 1,300 total yards. He only had like 800. But anyway, for me, why not roll a dice with Jonah Coleman, the rookie out of Washington? Because if I'm going to gamble on somebody to be really good, I'll take the guy I haven't seen yet. I'll take the devil I don't know in this case. And just see what Jonah Coleman was very well liked. Some people had him at RB1 in this class coming out. So I'll take him.
Yeah, fair enough. Who's the number one running back in Washington? Krosky Merritt
Uh, yeah,
or
Krosky Merritt. We talked about Chris Rodriguez last week, and we went back and forth there about him and Bashal Tutin, but he has a similar skill set to Ja'Cory Krosky Merritt, and now he's gone. So a lot of Rodriguez's work will probably go to Krosky Merritt. And surprisingly, I mean, Bill, he had over 800 yards rushing and 8 rushing touchdowns. So I don't see why those numbers would go down. If anything, maybe they might creep up a little bit. So I think him, and I mean, I'm not betting on Rashad White. He's a jack of all trades, master of none. Katron Allen doesn't scare me yet.
yeah, Rashad White. Rashad White maybe do some damage in the passing game. That will be his pride. There you call it. All right, Bob. Final thing I want to ask you, and then we're going to wrap this one up. Give me a sleeper running back to draft in the final round of a draft. Go.
Absolute final round where I mentioned Mike Washington.
Okay.
If you have Ashton Genty, but how about Keaton Mitchell? He's going pretty late. I don't know what his ADP is. I just talked about him a minute ago. He's super explosive. Went to ECU down the road from me, and dude, he's talented. He's a J.K. Dobbins. He can't stay healthy, but when he's on the field, man, that guy is electric.
There you go. I like it. I like it. All right, buddy. This has been fun. Thanks to everybody who has watched and been watching throughout the summer month here as we get ready for the 2026 fantasy football season. Clipboard Confessional with Bobby and Anthony. We'll be back next week. We'll start talking about the wide receiver position. That'll take at least 2 weeks with such depth at that position. But if you haven't, go back, listen to the quarterback preview show, listen to the first half of the running back preview show as well, right here on our YouTube page. Bob, my friend, a good time as always.
Yes, sir. You're the man.
All right. Thanks again, everybody. Have a good one. And we'll see you next time.
See ya.